So on the last episode, we built the navigation section. So if you didn't watch that video, I will urge you to watch that one so that you can follow easily what we want to do today. And in this episode, we'll be building the hero section, and this project section. So I will just shrink this down and do the same thing here. Because like I said, we'll be going from the mobile first approach. And I will go to my app and make sure I get rid of all these junks right here. All right, cool. So these are sections of the web page. So it would be ideal if you classify them or group them into a separate folder. So what I would do is I will create a folder called sections, and I will create the hero.jsx. So say RAFCE. And for this hero section, we just need to import the image. So I will import the image I will be needing. Hero image from assets, and this will be hero image.png. Then since this is a section, we use a section, and remember we add the ID and set it to home. I'll create another div right here, and I'll give this a class of z-index of 40 so that you'll be at the top at all times. Then again, I'll create a container class, and this will be your flex. Items will be center, justify, can't spell justify will be center as well. And we also want to center the text in the middle. And while we are there, let me just do this at the beginning. We also need the screen to be 100 VH. All right, so let me come back to the initial one. We still don't have anything here, so let's start adding content to this. So create another div, and I will not style this one as well. So this will hold the image. So we say hero image, and this we have text of hero image. So let's save. And nothing is showing right here because we also need to go to our app.jsx and add it to our app file. So we say hero section. All right, so let me refresh this. Don't know why we came across an error. So let me inspect and see where we are having issues from. Hero is not defined. Okay, we didn't define it. How silly is that of me. All right, so it's showing nice now. All right, we can now see the image. Let's go back to the hero, and for this div, I'll give this a class of max width and set it to 800 pixels. You can decide to use the default one, the 2XL and the rest, but 800 seems perfect for what I want to do, and we also need to center it in the middle as well. Then we also need to add a margin button of 6, and for this image we'll give it a class of size 100 pixels. Then we also want it to be rounded, and we want it to be center as well. Then we'll give it a background gradient to right from blue 600 to purple 600. Let's save. Let's also set the object to cover. Then we'll make sure we're outside this. So let me just add a comment right here, say image. So make sure we are outside this and create another div to add this entire content right here. So we can set this to, let me first of all put content. So set this to an h1 that says what? Let me just copy the text, paste it right here, and the smooth had something similar to this. So instead of me typing it out again, I'll just go to the header section and I will copy this span and I'll just replace it here like so and change this to this smooth. So if we save, you can see that is coming. We just now need to add some style. So we see margin bottom of 2, text should be 3XL, font should be extra bold. We want it to be capitalized. We'll add a line height, I'll set it to 1.2. Then for medium devices and up, we increase the size to like 5XL. Then for the p tag, we just copy the text as well, paste it here, and the only thing we'll be doing is just adding a margin bottom of 4, and on medium devices and up, we increase the font size. And for this button, we use the a tag, and this should go to the project section, and this should be view. Let me just use lowercase view my work. And for the class, we just give it a padding left and right of 6, padding top and bottom of 3. We set it to inline block, set it to capitalize, add a font width and set it to semi bold. Then we'll also add this background gradient to right, and we'll say from blue 600 to purple 600, and we'll give this a text color of white, and we'll also add the border radius of medium. So let's check now. So both of them are looking almost similar. So now if we preview this on bigger screens, you can see that everything is working fine. So it's essentially the same with the original design, but I think this is a bit bold, but ours is not bold. So let me just quickly fix that. So go to the nav, and for the desktop, this should be, I think this should be done right here. So say font medium. Let me see. So let's try semi bold. Okay, this is much better. All right, so the next section we'll be building is the project section, and there's something common in this project. So you can see that we have this title section. You can see a repeating pattern here, a repeating pattern here, and a repeating pattern here. So you can see take this like a Figma design, but it's actually live because we're making reference to this. So it's a good thing when you are building, you should try to spot patterns easily so you don't have to like create something multiple times instead of using a state and just passing in props. So in something like this, we'll come back and I will shrink this down again, and I will create the project section. So say projects.jsx, and I'll get rid of this. Then I think I will just show you how to build it first, then I will show the other alternative. So for this project, this will be a section, I'll give this an ID of project, and we'll give this a class name of PT32, and this should be section. I don't know why this didn't change. Then inside this section tag, bring in the container, and we want to create this title now. So the way to do that is we'll put this inside the div, and this will be an h2. Copy this, I will paste it here. You already know that I have something similar, so I will just go to my hero section and I will copy this smooth, and I will replace it with this, and this will be projects. So if we check, that won't show because we also need to add it right here. So we say projects section. So this will be projects. I will save, and you can see it right here. So for the heading 2, we'll give this a class name. I will say this should be 2XL for the font size, make it bold, also add the margin bottom of 2. The medium devices and up, we'll set it to 3XL, and large devices and up, we'll set it to 4XL. So you can see that it's now bold, and I guess it's still, yeah, so we can make it capitalized as well. So let me put it right here. So capitalize. Then for the p tag, we just copy the text and I'll paste it here. And I'll set the class name to have the text color of gray 400. So as you can see, it's showing right here. And in terms of I think this was centered in the middle, so we can just come here and say text should be center. All right. But before we move on, I would want to put this inside its own separate component because we'll be reusing it here and other sections as well. So it's using this about section. Although it's on the left, we'll still look for a way to go about that. And you can see it's used here and it's also used here. So what I'll quickly do is I will create the title component, and I will say ROEFCE. Then I will copy or cut this rather, and I will paste it here. So we just need to accept some things. So the first one will be the title, the highlight. So the highlight is essentially this one. Then the subtitle, which is the subtext, and we want to check if its center is true, but by default we'll just set it to true, so it should always be centered. Then we will need to just replace everything. So for this one now, pass in the title, and for this we'll pass in the highlights. For this we'll pass in the subtitle. Then as for this is centered, we'll bring it here by using backticks. It should be backticks, and we can see if it's center, which is true by default, then we want to say text should be center, else we want to set it to the left. Then we don't need this anymore, and I'll also add the margin bottom of 6. right here like so. All right, so to use it, we just need to bring in the title and pass in the prop. So the first one is the title, right? Which is my, and this should be in a string, sorry about that. Then the highlights should be projects. Then the subtitle should be this subtitle. Let me copy it again and paste it right here and save. Guessing we have, okay. So if you come across this error, you just need to change the string to double quotes. So we can save this and you can see that nothing really changed, except we can just come right here and add this space stuff, as you can see. So this, we'll move this capitalized down here so that it affects both the highlights and the project section. You can save. So let me check why this is still project. I don't know why it's showing project. So let me use capital P here. It's now working fine. So now with this, we can just reuse this titles component all through the sections that needs it. So now we want to just keep on going with all these different projects. Remember that I already have everything on the constant file, which is inside the utils folder. So I can just come underneath this title, not the container, underneath the title, and I'll create a div and give this a class and set the space y to 10, and on medium devices and up also want to reset it back to 0. Then on medium devices and up again, we'll set it to grid and set it to 2 columns, and we'll also add a gap of 4, and on large devices and up, we'll set the grid to 3 columns. So inside this now, we just need to map over the project. So say projects, then we'll see the map, and we'll map over each project, and we'll use the, I'll create a div, and I'll give this a key of project.id. Then inside the project, we'll have the main image, which is the image right here. I'll just pass it and say project.image, and this should be project dot, let's just use the title, yeah. Then for the styling, we just want to give it a rounded top right of 2xl and a rounded top left of 2xl. So we should see all of them. So it's adding a radius here and here. Then underneath it, we'll create another div. This is to hold the entire content. Now we give this one a background of gray 900. We'll set the radius to rounded bottom right 2xl and rounded bottom left 2xl. Also add a px of 4 and a py of 6. Then inside it, we'll have the history that says project title. Then we'll style it and say should have a text of large. or let's just use X large. I'll set the font weight to bold and add a margin bottom of 2. Then underneath it, we'll bring in the p tag and just pass in the description. So we'll say project dot description, and for the styling, we'll just add a line clamp. So we want to stop it at the third sentence, as you can see. So 1, 2, 3. So it's going to stop at the third sentence, and I just noticed that this is not coming in. So this should be 2XL, not 2L. Okay, now this is coming in. Then for still on the p tag, we'll add a margin bottom of 6. And for the tags, which are all these ones, create a div and give this a class name of MB8 and set it to flex, and we want to wrap it so that when we don't have space, it goes underneath each other. I'll add a gap of 2. Then inside it, we'll just map over each of the stacks. So say stack.map, and for each text stack, so I'll just call this tag, we'll have a span, and this we have a key, and I'll just pass in the tag as the key. Then we'll add the class name and set it to px of 2, py of 1, bg gray 800. I'll set the text to white, and rounded should be full. So we'll have the complete circle and add a margin bottom of 2. Then we just need to pass in the actual text. So let's check if I have any errors. So there are no errors so far. Then what we just need to do is to shrink this back, and we need to now add the buttons. So for the buttons, we'll create another div, and I'll give this a class name. Set this to flex. Items should be center, gap should be 4. So for the buttons, if we check the original project, you can see that this button is similar to this hero section. So I can just go back to my hero section, and I will just copy this and I will paste it right here like so. But this time, this will be project dot live URL. Sorry, this is not should not be promised. So project dot live URL, and this text should be inside a p tag, and this will be live because this is not going to change. So the actual live and sources, they will just be there static. The only thing that is changing is the actual URL. So for this URL, we'll make sure it's being open on a new tab, setting targets to blank, and let's add some styling here. So I'll set the font to be semi bold, and before it, we'll add the icon, and I will give this a size of 20. So let's check now. Okay, so we also need to add a display of flex to the main one. So this should be flex now. Items should be center. So let's save And let's also add some gap. So let's say gap of like 2. All right, so let's check back. And I think the padding is too much here. So let me reduce this one to 4. Okay. Then the other one is the GitHub all sources link. So I will just copy this one down and I will paste this. The only thing that's changing is the background color. So there's actually no gradient. So we don't need all this anymore. I can only say this should have a background of gray 600. And when we hover on it, it should now have a background of blue, just blue 700. Then we need to add transition as well. So transition of colors and duration should be 300, and let's just add it, make it ease in. And this should be GitHub. Okay, this should be sources, and this now should be the source URL. So let's check back. This should be source, not sources. So let me save this again. You can see that this is working nice for each part. So if we take a look at it at the desktop view, you can see that this project now is being active. If we scroll up, you see that we're back to the home page. You can see that the home now is now active. So if we also do it at the mobile as well and we scroll down, you can see that it's moving here as well. Alright guys, that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we'll be building the about and skills section.